Hello students, welcome to the next session of the chapter Metals and Nonmetals. In the last part of video, we have seen various chemical properties of metals where we have discussed reaction of metal with oxygen and we have discussed reaction of metals with water. Today we will continue with that. So when we are discussing next chemical properties of metals, the next one we will be discussing reaction of metals with acids. In the chapter acids, bases and salts, we have seen that reactive metals react with acid to give salt and hydrogen gas is liberated. This activity I have shown in my video reaction of zinc with dilute H2SO4. So you can visit that video, you can see that video and get the things clear. Okay, coming back to this. Metals react with acid to give salt and hydrogen gas. For example, magnesium reacts with hydrogen chloride to give the salt magnesium chloride and hydrogen gas is liberated. Let us balance the equation 2HCl. Now the question is, do all the acid react with metals? Do all the metals react with acid? Generally we say in the reactivity series. What is reactivity series? That we also will discuss now. In the reactivity series, all metals placed above hydrogen, they can react, or I will say they can evolve hydrogen gas from acid. If the element is placed below hydrogen in the reactivity series, then it will not evolve hydrogen gas. Now, which are the elements that are placed below hydrogen in reactivity series? These are like copper, mercury, silver, gold. These do not evolve hydrogen gas, or I will say they do not react with acid. Okay, so one thing is clear, which metals react with acid. Now, do all acids react with metals? If I talk about HCl, yes, it will react. If I talk about H2SO4, yes, it will react. But nitric acid do not react with the metals to evolve hydrogen gas. Now, this is an important give reason question. That why nitric acid do not evolve hydrogen gas when it is reacted with a metal. Reason, nitric acid itself is a strong oxidizing agent. We have studied about oxidizing agents and reducing agent in chapter 1. So nitric acid is a strong oxidizing agent. Therefore, whatever hydrogen is produced in the reaction, it will be oxidized to water. This is only in case of nitric acid. And nitric acid itself gets reduced to various compounds like dinitrogen oxide, nitrous oxide, nitrogen dioxide, etc. So hydrogen gas do not remain as a gas, but it gets converted to water when we make metal to react with nitric acid. Remember, this is an important give reason question. Many times it is asked. Now the question is, what is reactivity series? So let us discuss reactivity series. So what do you mean by reactivity series? When we arrange all the metals in the decreasing order of the reactivity, that means the highly reactive metal will be considered as first. So potassium, sodium, these are highly reactive metals. They will be placed on the top, followed by calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, lead, hydrogen, copper, mercury, silver, gold and platinum. This is completely reactivity series. Platinum is not visible, so I will write it here. So this is complete reactivity series. The metals placed above the reactivity series, they are highly reactive and these are less reactive metals. Now the question is how to remember this reactivity series. I will tell you a very simple trick. Listen to me very carefully now. Kedar, Nath, का महंगा आलू ज़रा फीका पका है क्योंकि मर्क्यूरी सिल्वर गोल्ड प्लैटिनम. This way you can remember reactivity series. Within 1 second you will be able to learn. So just now I have told you that all the metals which are placed below hydrogen in the reactivity series, they will not react with acid to produce hydrogen gas. Now by using reactivity series itself, I will explain you the next chemical properties, that is reaction of metal with aqueous salt solution of other metal. The heading appears to be very complicated one, but it is a very simple reaction, and that is what we have already studied in chapter number 1, displacement reaction. Now whenever a metal reacts with aqueous salt solution of other metal, what happens? For example, iron, when it is treated with copper sulfate. So metal iron, aqueous salt solution of other metal. So I have taken aqueous salt solution of copper. What will happen? If the metal is more reactive than the other one, like here let us see in this series, iron is placed above copper and therefore iron will be more reactive and it will displace copper from its salt solution. Therefore we will get the product FeSO4 plus copper. Now we know that in chemistry colors are very important one. Copper sulfate solution is blue in color. Now when it displaces, when copper gets displaced by iron, it forms FeSO4 which is green in color, and a substance which is settled at the bottom of the test tube, that is copper, and that is brown in color. So remember this color. Okay, let us have one more example. How zinc will react with copper chloride? Remember, always the more reactive will displace the less reactive element from its aqueous salt solution. I hope you will be able to guess the answer. Look at the reactivity series. Zinc is placed above copper, copper is placed below zinc, and therefore zinc can displace copper. The above elements can displace the lower elements, but the lower elements cannot displace the top one, and therefore the color will be, the product will be ZnCl2 plus copper. One more example. Aluminium plus calcium sulfate. Now look the positions of aluminium and calcium in reactivity series. Calcium is more reactive than aluminium and therefore aluminium cannot displace calcium from calcium sulfate and therefore this reaction will not occur. Now such patterns are important one because sometimes board gives this type of question to confuse the students. When the students are used to such type of equation, here they will write the answer aluminium sulfate plus calcium, which is a wrong answer. So if you remember the reactivity series, you will be able to answer all the questions related to displacement. Let us move on to next chemical property. The next property is the reaction of metal with non-metal. Just now we have seen the reaction of metal with a metal. Now we'll study the reaction of metal with a non-metal. For this we need to rebrush our some basic knowledge that metals have a tendency always to lose electron. What is the tendency of non-metals? Come on, guess the answer. Non-metals always accept electron. So whatever electrons are lost by metals, they will be easily accepted by non-metal and as a result a compound will be formed. Such a compound which is formed from complete transfer of electron from metal to non-metal, we call them as ionic compound. And the bond formed due to complete transfer of electron from metal to non-metal, we call it as an ionic bond. Actually, two types of bond exist. One is ionic bond and another is covalent bond. about which we will be studying in chapter 4. For example, sodium has a tendency to lose electron to complete the octet. Chlorine has a tendency to accept the electron. As a result, sodium will form sodium cation, chlorine will form chloride ion, and therefore they will get attracted and will form compound sodium chloride. Such compound, what it will be called? It will be called ionic compound. What will be the bond present in this? It will be ionic bond. So we have to study ionic compounds in detail. We have to study their structures, how to write them, and so on. Ionic compound is a very interesting class of compounds where a lot of questions can be framed. Give reason questions, dot structure questions, etc. So it's a very interesting topic and that we'll be studying in our next video. That's all for the day. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.